My name is Jamal Howard, and today I would like to talk about playground safety. Now, playground safety is one of the key issues that they don't hit very hard. But parents should be aware of their surrounding when it comes to children being on the playground, making sure they are safe. Not just being safe on the equipment, but also being safe of their surrounding, because you don't know who might appear up, and it may be a stranger, they may be nice and everything, but you don't know what their motives are. So there's two things I like to talk about when it comes down, well, actually three things, because sometimes the clothes that your children wear can also be a safety hazard as well. Like children don't tie their shoes tightly, or you're wearing clothes that got torn in it that can snag on to the equipment. And the reason why I'm talking about the equipment and everything, because even though they may look safety from afar, but if you look up closely, there's a lot of errors and there's a lot of hindrance where children, because see, some playgrounds, they got it accessible for children who are handicapped, who are disabled, children in wheelchairs. And see, some of the issues that, kids can't get on the playground because you got sand. Now, I'd rather for the sand to be at the beach than to be at the playground. And sand can get into children's hair and get in their shoes and everything, and it's hard for them to run. Now, wood chips would be better, but you also got to be aware of wood chips as well, because there could be some things in that wood chip, and the wood chip might not be treated right, and kids can really get hurt on that. Now, having a rubber mat on the playground, now that's the best thing to have. And not only that, children who are in wheelchairs can actually get on the playground. Other playground issues about the safety equipment is that some of the stuff that children play on are rusty, and sometimes the metal could actually break and the child could cut themselves on the rusted metal. See, there's a lot of things you have to look real closely, like wood not being treated right. Kids can get a splinter in their finger, or they can trip over a nail, or their clothes could get caught onto the nail and rip their clothes apart. That's why children need to wear appropriate clothing and appropriate shoes when they're going out to play in the playground, and making sure make sure they are hydrated. And another thing about playground equipment is that there are some loose bolts in there, and then you got some, like with swings, you got some higher than the others when they should be at the lower point. So information that I did about the swings is that the swings should be 8 inches from the ground and be accessible for all children. So that means that all children should be able to get on the swing and swing up and down. That means the chains should not be twisted. It should not be tangled. When I went to Lamar Elementary, that's what I noticed about the swing set. The chains were all tangled up. Some swings were higher than the other. That's a safety hazard right there. Because you got some kids that can actually break their bones because of what they will do, because of the swings not set appropriately. And then I talk about the wood. See, some of the wood I see where it's cracked. And let's see, I can find that picture right here. This wood was cracked. You can see the cracks in the wood. You can see the nails coming out. You can see that the wood is not being treated. And that's one thing when it comes down to playground equipment, especially if it's made of wood. Because I know that some parts, even though it's all plastic, but even plastic, you got to be careful about that as well. Because some plastic, they can they can break if it's not treated right. So that's one thing about, and the information about the wood not being treated was the wood should be treated once every 3 months to once every 12 months. The wood should be treated, because the wood not treated, like I say, kids can get splinter in their hand when they rub their hands across the board, or on the sliding board, or where they at. They can rub they can get a splinter in their hand, or now that they could get like a nail or a staple in their hand or something like that. So playground safety is not just about you got to be careful how you look at the playground equipment, because they may not, like I say, They may look safety from afar, but you gotta look up close. Cause there's some loose nails, there's some loose screws, kids can get hurt on there, boards could be broken. So you have to really be careful when it comes down to playground safety. Playground safety is not just about the equipment, but it's also about checking your surroundings. And here's one tip right here. It says each year more than 200,000 kids are treated in the hospital for ERs for playground related injuries. And yeah, that's one key thing right there. You got to make sure your kids are, like I say, wearing appropriate attire, making sure that they, like I say, make sure they're hydrated now. Make sure they drink plenty of water. Because they do get hot. I mean, during the summertime. Now, the wintertime, it ain't all that bad, but still, you still want to stay hydrated regardless. Winter, summer, fall, whatever season, you still want to stay hydrated. Also, I was reading, and also with this information here, it's called Playground Children and Youth. Every parent should be concerned about their child's safety at school, home, and in the community. Being concerned about a child's safety should also be at the park. We should check our surroundings when it comes to our children, but do we check out the equipment? So what it is, we not only when it comes to playground safety, check the equipment, but also check your surroundings, because you don't know who's gonna be out there. You might have some pedophile might hide in the bushes. And you got to be really careful. And also parent, make sure your children be in an area where they can see you and you can see them. Because if they're out in the area where you can't see them, they can't see you, then that means they're in the danger zone and they could be in the issue. And I can tell you by experience, when I was a substitute teacher for Darlington County and for Florence County, I had to tell children to stay away from certain areas because I had to look out for them. So don't be just on your cell phones. Because in that millisecond, you can be on your cell phone looking at Facebook, and next thing you know, your child get kidnapped. So that's one of the safety procedures. You need to be careful not to be on your cell phone all the time. Keep a lookout on your children. That cell phone is not going anywhere. You can wait. You can tell them wait till later on and everything, but still you need to keep a lookout for your child, because even though you tell them to stay where they at, where they can see you, sometimes they'll wander off just to be curious. But still, remember to keep your child where they can see. And that's where it says, make sure your child is playing in an area where you can see them. And yes, they need to be in that area where you can see them. Where they can see you as well. Because a lot of kids will get, like in a split of a second, your child will be kidnapped because you're either on your Instagram or you're on your Facebook or any other type of social media. Make sure your child's safety comes first before getting on the cell phone. Also, we already know to teach your children about talking to strangers. And that should always be, you always got to be careful about strangers. I don't care how nice they are, you still got to be careful. You still got to be careful. Children need to learn to be careful, because all strangers ain't nice. And some of them may be nice, but they got a plot in their head of what they're trying to do. Also, and that comes down to another point. Kids should always have an adult supervision on the playground. Yes, that is a key thing. Children should be supervised, not only on the park, but also the playground at school. Even teachers have, looked on their cell phones and everything instead of walking around making sure children are not getting into any habits or getting into the things that can be dangerous. So, like I said, me as being a sub, or I used to be a sub, I can tell you some of the areas where children be playing in, and I be telling them to get away from there or to come around where I can see you. Because if anything happened to that child, I'm responsible for it, because I'm the sub that's taking over that class for that day. So that means my responsibility is to make sure the child is safe first. Safety is my number one priority, and it should always be a number one priority when it comes down to parents, when it comes down to caregivers, when it comes down to daycare, when it comes down to anything that has to do with children. Even when you're in the library, safety got to become as well. There's a lot of safety. And here's some points. Here's another point right here. Make sure your child wears sunscreen and stay properly hydrated. And yes, they need to stay properly hydrated. Drink plenty of water. When you go to the park, take a nice little cooler with you, fill it with some ice and fill it with some water. So when the kid, or fill it with juice or something that will keep them active and they won't, dehydrate. And the reason why I say children need to wear different, need to wear appropriate attire, because certain clothes can snag onto the equipment and they can cause them to crack their neck, or probably can cause them to get a scratch on their back or anything like that. So you have to be careful how your children dress. Make sure they tie their shoes. That's my biggest concern. I always tell children to tie their shoes because they can trip and fall on that string. So make sure they tie their shoes. If the shoestring come unloose, parents, make sure you tie your child's shoe. And we did talk about make sure your child is playing in an area where you can see them, and they need to do that. Now, to the information, the one about kids should always have adult supervision on playground. You can find that at www.kidshealth.org. And the other one, make sure your child wears sunscreen and stay properly hydrated. You can find that information on scholastic.com. And the title of this, Quick Click. Top 10 tips for playing it safe at the playground. So these are the information that you can get about your child's safety, especially when it comes to being on the playground as well, especially on the playground equipment. So I hope this information will help you out to understand that your child's safety is important, and understand that playground safety is not just checking your surroundings, but also checking out the equipment to make sure it's safe, make sure they've been properly taken care of, so children won't have to go to the ER. So I hope this information helped you out very well. I'm Jamal Howard, and my topic is playground safety. Thank you.